What is going on, YouTube? My name is Lucas, and today I'm going to provide you a video on NIO. And what I'm going to provide you on NIO is, well, some of their quarterly earnings results, and I'm going to talk about where they are headed in the future and some of my expectations and opinions on this company. So if you're interested in NIO, because I know a lot of you Robinhood traders are, stay tuned right after this. Now, I went into some major detail in that video on NIO, like, well, they're a Chinese-based EV company, and I am going to kind of talk to you, in my opinion, on what I think they need to do in order to become more than just a Chinese-based EV company, but that's going to be later in the video. You know, I talked about, too, what type of vehicles they have, and currently they're all kind of SUV type, and they're in the process of having a prototype, that supercar that almost looks like, you know, a car that could go 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's actually really cool. And then on top of that, I talked about, you know, what kind of services they provide. They obviously, if you have issues where like you run out of charge, it's almost like a service that will pull up and charge your vehicle right there on the spot. They also have a service that will replace your battery if need be. It's almost like roadside assistance, and that's very unique too. I think that's really cool. And then on top of that, we continued on and talked about, you know, where they were progressing and what the, you know, the future holds. So now that we're back in current state, we have hit quarterly earnings, and we're going to dive right into the quarterly earnings. All right, so quarterly earnings, I'm going to kind of provide you guys a different perspective. And obviously there's a lot of YouTubers out there that are going through, they're providing you numbers, and rightfully so. That's what you look at when you're doing quarterly earnings. But I want to give you a different perspective, and this is my viewpoint and my personal opinion on how I'm viewing these statistics, I guess you could say, currently. So we have all these EV companies that are coming to the market, and you know, they are taking orders, but a lot of them are not manufacturing vehicles yet. They have not had an opportunity to, you know, even test some of their vehicles, but they're still taking orders. That is the complete opposite for NIO. And you'll see with this very first statistic that I provide you. And they're setting records. The thing is, guys, is they're doing exactly what they're saying. Yes, their numbers might be a little bit down, but they're making progress. Tesla was not a profitable company until about 2 quarters ago. I mean, we have to understand that. Obviously, Tesla is a monster. They are led by one of the, you know, craziest but most, I guess you could say, genius CEOs in the entire world. And so Tesla obviously is a monster, but they were not profitable until a couple quarters ago. So it's not that I'm disregarding the numbers that NIO put out, but I want to accept the fact that they are actually producing vehicles. People are buying them, using them, they're driving them, and that just creates room for expansion. So enough on my soapbox. I'm going to swing on over here and give you some information. NIO's second quarter deliveries jumped by 191%. I mean, that was the headliner. That's a highlight for me. I wanted to provide that to you guys, and I'm not finished. From the year ago period to 10,331 vehicles, which is a record. That's awesome. You know, for a Chinese-based company that has so many competitors, and for them to be able to do that and set a record for themselves, you know, props to you guys. So continuing on, that strong sales result gave NIO its first ever positive gross margin for a quarter, which 8.4%. A year ago, its gross margin was negative 33.4%. So you can see the big, vast change that they're going through. NIO's vehicle margin, calculated using revenue and cost of sales from its vehicle sales only, was 9.7%. That's going to be up from a negative 24.1% in the second quarter of 2019. So as you can see, this company is headed in the right direction. NIO closed a strategic investment deal with economic development authorities in China's industrial heartland province. And what they did is they're allowed to get cash on hand. And in American dollars, it was $707 million. Now I'm going to hit on that a little bit more as we get down. But cash on hand for not only a small company, but NIO is very important. NIO goes through a lot of cash. And I think it just is a big thing for a small business like NIO, like a Workhorse, like, you know, any of these other small EV companies to have cash on hand, because it accounts for growth, it accounts for expansion, and allows them to do those things. So continuing on, NIO agreed to raise additional cash on its own part of the strategic investment deal. The company completed a secondary offering of 82.8 million American depository shares in June, raising about $493 million, more than enough to cover its obligations under the deal. So NIO's cash on hand currently is $1.6 billion, and that was as of June 30th, 2020. That's a lot of cash for a company of this size, and especially for a company that goes through a lot of cash. I really think that's a major highlight, right behind, you know, their vehicle growth. I really do. I think cash on hand is very, very important. You never know if you have to make an acquisition, or maybe you need to, you know, raise your employees' salaries, or whatever it may be. I think cash on hand is very, very important for a small company. The big question is, what do your executives think? What does your upper management think? And I think that they had some good, you know, information to provide in this quarterly meeting. I mean, I really can sense the positivity coming from them, and, you know, it just makes sense. If you get chemistry in place, you have great leadership in place with experience, they know how to really enforce a plan and get that plan going, and they drive it home, the sky is the limit, especially when you see positive results. And in their case, they may not have seen the exact numbers they were looking for, or the expectations that, you know, Wall Street put on them in this case. But the thing is that if they're satisfied and they can see that it's going to work, the sky is the limit, and you'll sense that from their message. So their CEO said that the demand has remained strong, and the company is now focused on increasing production as it gears up to begin deliveries of its latest model, the sporty EC6 crossover, in September. And you know, the one thing I want you to understand too is they endured the coronavirus just like every other country, and, you know, obviously every business. And it probably really impacted them specifically because, you know, they're from China. So continuing on, the current constraints on production will be lifted right there in the near future, and we are confident that our production capacity can meet the accelerated demand of our models. You know, if they really do have that big of expectation, and, you know, a lot of people are demanding their vehicles, I'm excited to see what the next quarterly earnings for their vehicles is going to be. I mean, I just really am. Continuing on, their CFO said that the company has now demonstrated to auto investors that it can generate positive cash flow from operations thanks to increasing scale and better control of cost. And to me, that's a big piece right there, because like I said, they were going through a lot of cash, and so it was very important to have a lot of cash on hand. If they figured a way to burn less cash and be more productive, whew, this is going to be a dangerous stock. Keep an eye on it, investors. And with the final piece, the strong deliveries in the second quarter of 2020, our vehicle margin significantly exceeded our target of more than 5%. We will continue to enhance our efficiencies across the company in the rest of 2020 and beyond. That tells me right there that they're pushing to really accelerate and get better numbers, even, you know, as we get deeper into the year. I'm excited for that. I have seen a lot of people say that NIO could potentially be the Tesla of China, and that would be very interesting, you know, to see NIO stock price at $1,600. Speaking of stock price, let's swing to my favorite part of any video, and that's chart breaking down time. So let's dive on over here and NIO on up in this thing. So today it opened at $13.45, got as high as $13.64, and its low was $13.17. Its volume was 49.38 million, and as you'll see, that is down from their average. Its market cap is 15.82 billion. Its 52-week high is $16.44. Its 52-week low is $1.19, and its average volume is around 118.5 million. So you can see that the volume for, average volume is pretty much higher than the regular volume we experience today. Today it closed at $13.36. That was zero movement. I'm sure it moved throughout the day, but it finished right where it opened. And then in the after hours, it proceeded down to $13.29, which was down 0.52%. Not too bad. Now, this chart is obviously reflecting the coronavirus. I mean, we go over this every time we break a chart down. So as of so what I'm probably going to do is just start in June, and June is obviously the time when all EV companies started to really burst on the scene. Tesla was making moves, obviously they were, discussing the Gigafactory. They were talking about moving out of California. Now they're, opening a factory in Texas, all kinds of stuff with Tesla. Then you have Workhorse bursting onto the scene, NIO making monster moves, Euro and Aerotech, and all these major EV companies, Hyliion, Nikola, all bursting on the scene at the same time. So the EV market was hot topic. It was in the news. And NIO really did make a monster run. They just had a lot going for them. And like I said, guys, they're putting vehicles out. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So this thing shot all the way up, and I'm pretty sure it hit its 52-week high of 1644 on that monster run from early June all the way until the very 1st of July. Since then, we've kind of had a recession down, and it got down to right around the little bit above the $12 mark. And since then, we've continued to climb back and kind of just stayed stagnant a little bit between, I would say, $13 all the way up to about $15, which is very reasonable. Obviously, quarterly earnings came out the other day, and they were not as bad. They really weren't bad. They weren't terrible numbers. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. And obviously, we've had a couple down days, but like I said, guys, production is there. Vehicles are being produced. People are buying those vehicles, and they're driving them. That's enough for me, especially in a company like this that is very saturated in China. I mean, the EV market is very saturated in China, and they have a lot of competition. So for them to be doing what they're doing and showing positive growth, that's awesome in my opinion. Like I said, guys, NIO has a lot of growth opportunity. They haven't even expanded outside of China. I mean, they could have potentially found their way to the United States. They could find their way to other places in Europe. It would just be a major growth opportunity for them. And I do think down the road it will be needed in order for them to continue to be a major player in the electrical vehicle market. Just my opinion, but that's where I think they need to go. And you guys know how I do it. If you like this video, smash that like button. Guys, you have no idea how much the like button helps me out. It gets the videos out. It lets me know that you guys like the videos, and it allows people to see the videos that I provide to you guys, and it helps out tremendously. Also, if you guys comment down below, I enjoy the interaction. I like hearing your guys' thoughts. I like, hearing your opinions, and I like communicating with you guys. That's why I do these videos, because I like to have that interaction. I like to know what you guys think. So comment down below. And if you enjoy the content, because I'm going to keep the content flowing, subscribe to the channel. Please smash that subscribe button. It helps out, and we're going to continue growing this channel. We got to get to 1,000, so let's hit that subscribe button. Let's go. And you guys know how I do it. Have a good day.